girls, I have the perfect wedding guest makeup for you guys. This past weekend, I was at a really fun wedding up in Cape Cod, and I feel like I just loved how my makeup turned out, and I wanted to film a tutorial for it for you guys of a step-by-step of exactly what I did. I really loved it because it photographed really, really well in photos. I found that it lasted all night. I was crying, I was dancing, I was sweating, it was humid, it was like, I don't know, just like all the things that you can feel during a wedding, and my makeup lasted all night. It looked really great in photos. It photographed well. There was no flashback. It wasn't cakey. It wasn't heavy. It was just a really, really nice makeup, and I wanted to show you guys it today. And I also feel like because it's wedding season, there are always different kinds of wedding looks. So if you guys like this video, I'm more than happy to kind of make this into a series and do something that's like more of a black tie wedding look, or like a very casual kind of wedding look, something that you can dress up or dress down. So if there's like ever a specific makeup look that you see and you're like, oh, I want to learn how to do this, just send it my way. I'd be more than happy to recreate it for you guys. And yeah, I really like how this look turned out. And this is exactly the makeup that I wore this past weekend at Gretchen and Max's wedding. So it was really, really fun, and I enjoyed filming this a lot for you guys. So without further ado, here we go. Start with whatever skincare base you typically like to use. For me, I find that less is more, especially when it comes to makeup. So I actually just use the CeraVe Daily Moisturizing Lotion, and that works really well for me. And that's all that I have on. So, okay, we are gonna get started. So my favorite technique is underpainting. It makes your makeup look really intentional and like a professional did it, when it's really just you doing it at home. So I'm just moisturizing my lips. It also helps if you use like a lip plumper or something while you do your makeup, because then by the time you get to your lips, you have like these juicy, plumpy lips, and it's like the best hack ever. So for underpainting, I really like to use the Westman Atelier contour stick. This is in the shade Truffle. This one is pretty firm to use. If you like something that's a little bit more blendable and easy to work with, I recommend the e.l.f. one. This is really, really nice and super blendable, but I find this one sticks a little bit more, especially when you're dancing or you're sweating and I don't know, like maybe your skin's just being very skin-like. You definitely want to make sure that your makeup isn't going anywhere. So I like to put this on my forehead, on my cheekbones, my nose, and I personally like emphasize a shadow right underneath my chin to make my chin a little bit more defined. I have a pretty small chin. And then I take any sort of buffing brush. This one is from It Cosmetics. I'll have every makeup product and brush linked down below. And when it comes to my contour, I try to keep it blended up as high on my cheek as possible. I do prefer downstrokes. Like I find that when I just do upstrokes, it just doesn't blend as good, but I just try to blend like from here and not further down. But if you do get a little further down, I will show you how to fix it in just a few steps. So when you first start underpainting, it might look a little bit crazy, and I should even explain what underpainting is. It's essentially doing all of your cream products like contour, highlighting, even blush underneath your foundation. And what that's going to do is give your makeup a really dimensional and layered look, but without having to use so much product. I think a lot of times when we see flawless makeup applications, we assume that they're not wearing a lot of makeup because it's applied really flawlessly. It's blended out really well. And also we're seeing pictures, right? Like a lot of times we don't see close-up images or close-up videos of people's skin when it seems to be red carpet or photo shoot or things like that. But the truth of the matter is, to get flawless, dimensional, makeup artist looking makeup, it requires a lot of makeup and a lot of layers of makeup. So this is that technique of a lot of layers of makeup to give you that dimensional look. But when you underpaint, it allows you to use lighter weight of product, so your skin won't look as cakey, which to me is a big win. So if you feel like you look a little crazy during underpainting, that's okay. I always feel like that, but trust me, it all does come together. For cream blush, I like to go in with the Patrick Ta She's Wanted, and I really like this blush because it looks like how my skin looks after I come in from a day on the beach. And I actually use a natural haired brush. I find that it gives a really natural finish. This is a Morphe M530, and I focus this back here on the temples, and then I drag it down onto the cheeks, just like this. And you can also drag your blush up onto your temples. Again, you can be really messy with this because it is going to get covered. It just gives that dimension to your skin. And this is kind of where you're going to begin to marry the bronzer and the blush. Today is also a super humid day, and I'm going to get dinner with some of my friends after I film this look, and I can assure you that this will stand the test of time in humidity. I was just at a really fun wedding where it was super humid. We were dancing all night. I was crying. I cried at every single wedding, but I was like sobbing at one point during this wedding. It was just like so much fun, just a lot of dancing, really hot, really humid, and my makeup stayed all night long. So this I can definitely attest to. And you're probably noticing that I like to put makeup on my nose. I just think it looks so cute and I love it. Then you're gonna want to go in with a concealer that matches your skin tone. For me right now, this is the NARS Creamy Concealer in the shade Custard. And I just like to go right underneath my bronzer and blush and just kind of carve this out a little bit. The reason that I'm using a shade that matches my skin is because I'm not trying to highlight this section. I'm just trying to lift it up naturally by carving it out. And also if you feel like it ever got a little too low, or if you want to reshape it, like honestly a look that's really in right now is when people's cheeks go like this. We see this a lot. I'll just do it for this video. We see this a lot with like Kris Jenner right now, Lindsay Lohan, like those facelifts that we're seeing. You can make that effect with makeup, and you can see how that just instantly like lifted my cheeks and just made me look a little more jolly and smiley, which, you know, might be good in photos. So then I like to go in with a foundation brush. This is the Stay Flat Top foundation brush. I love this brush a lot. You're gonna see it in a minute. And with this, I drag the product down. So I'm not gonna go up because this is the line that like we're trying to carve out here. So I'm not gonna go up. That would just blend too much into our bronzer and our blush, and that would completely just, you know, defeat the purpose of everything that we just did with this concealer. The harsh line is okay because it's going to get blended out in the next step, but this just kind of cleans up your work a little bit and just buffs it out. And if you are like the biggest hater of a super harsh line, you can just kind of dab this a few times and that line will diffuse without dragging too much of the product down, and it just cleans everything up. Now this is like my favorite foundation of all time. I'm pretty sure it was discontinued, but this is the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder foundation. Charlotte, if you're watching this, you need to bring this foundation back. It's literally the best formula of all time, but a really close formula to this is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk foundation. I really love that one as well. You could also use a skin tint if you like something a little lighter in coverage, but I find that this foundation is really amazing. Normally on a day-to-day basis, I wear a skin tint, but for events like weddings and stuff, I do like to wear foundation. So this is my go-to, and what I do is I just put it directly onto the skin in a really light layer, just so that I have the coverage that I want. And I find that this foundation is super buildable. So I start light. Now I go back in with the Say foundation brush and I just buff this in. So that's why the underpainting is a really cool technique, because it gives you that dimension that you're looking for without having to cake on a ton of makeup. Like if you were to look at my skin, I have like no beauty filters on or anything. If you were to look at my skin right now, you can still see the texture of my skin, but it looks pretty flawless, and we still get that dimension peeking through of the bronzer and of the blush. And I find when we are doing our makeup, that's really what we're looking for, is dimension with a flawless coverage. And I find that underpainting is like the easiest and best way to do that. And I like to start out with a really light layer of foundation because you can always build on and it's much harder to take away. So start small, start light, and go from there if you want to continue to add on. Make sure that you really blend up into the hairline and onto the ears and down the neck. Now, if you also really want your makeup to stick, I recommend dermaplaning your face before, which is pretty much just like shaving your face. I have not done that. I have peach fuzz all over my face, and I definitely need to dermaplane soon and like wax my sideburns, but do what you can. And then once everything is blended in to the coverage that I like, I kind of just spend maybe another minute or so just really pressing the makeup into my skin and just letting the makeup and the skin marry. I find that this keeps it looking really flawless and not cakey, because concealer, which is what we're doing next, can really kind of cake up the makeup. So I just really like to make sure that this gets pressed in. If you love beauty blenders, now would be a good time to go in with a beauty sponge and press that into your skin, but I actually don't use beauty blenders a ton because I find that they take makeup away when this just presses it more in. Moving on. So I'm currently blending 2 concealers just so I get the perfect shade match for me. I'm kind of in like a weird tone of my complexion right now, but these are the 2 that I'm gonna mix. It's the NARS Creamy Concealer in Custard, which is what we did underneath. And then this is the MAC Studio Fix in NC30. This is definitely more of a pink base, and this is definitely more yellow. So combined, we get a really nice neutral tone that looks really good on my complexion. I also want to give a shout out to the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. This is in the shade Madeline. I love this concealer a lot. It's definitely a little bit more drying than these 2, but I think that this concealer, specifically this MAC one, is like so waterproof and lightweight. So if you are looking for like a waterproof concealer, try out the MAC one. It's so good. So I put them on the back of my hand and then I mix together. And once I have it mixed, I just put 1 dot underneath my eye. And then I go in with a stippling brush. It's like a little flat topped small stippling brush, and I'm really picky with my concealer. So the way that I like my concealer is I really like to make this upside down triangle. Now look, I know this is technically like very 2016, but there are some trends that are meant to last forever. And I believe an under eye triangle concealer is one of them. Even if it's less product than 2016, the motion and the placement is still amazing. So you can see that all I did was put concealer right here, but I'm still blending it out into this triangle shape underneath the eye. I really like that shape under the eye as opposed to just like a half circle under the eye. I find that like a half circle shape under the eye kind of can look, I don't know, like you just got a bad sunburn and you were wearing sunglasses. Like it just doesn't always look right. So I really do make this exaggerated triangle underneath the eye. So it goes from the corner of the eye, down the sides of the nose, and then up to the outer corner of the eye, and then you just fill it in. I don't take it all the way out here because I like to kind of shrink this in and highlight the center of my face, but I do like to just stipple, stipple, stipple. And again, if you like beauty blenders and sponges, you go in here and you can go to town on it. I don't love it so much, so I kind of skip it, but I do really like putting concealer on my eyelids and kind of concealing the veins on my eyelids. And I also have this double as primer for our eyeshadow. I think this brush is from Smashbox. I will link it. Okay, then I go in with a pointed concealer brush. This one is by MAC. This is the MAC 195. And I take an eyebrow spoolie and I brush up my eyelashes to the placement that I like them. Now, honestly, a lot of times I use the Anastasia Brow Freeze Gel. I don't know why I didn't do that today. I guess I'm just not in the mood to do it, but I do like that to like really keep my eyebrows in place. So now I'm gonna go in with that pointed concealer brush and I go right underneath my eyebrow and I carve this out. And this I feel like just gives the eyebrow a whole new life and you like don't really even have to do anything. It's like the ultimate hack to looking like you completely elevate your makeup. So get it where you like it and then just switch back to the stippling brush and just soften that line out. Like look at the difference. I mean, to me, there's a huge difference. And I didn't have to fill in my eyebrow or do anything. It's just concealer. Concealer, in my opinion, completely changes the face. Like, once I have my concealer down, I'm like a whole new woman. I also like to put concealer right here underneath my nose, on my chin to highlight my chin. Remember I said I have a small chin. I like to kind of make it stand out a little bit. Down the center of my nose and in the center of my forehead. So this brush is for precision, to just place the product where I want it. And then my little stippling brush goes in and just diffuses. And I like to keep my highlight kind of small on my forehead because I feel like I have a little bit of a big forehead. The more I'm talking, the more I'm like realizing how much I talk down to myself. But I just like to kind of shrink the size of my forehead and just highlight like pretty much the center of my face and then shrink, 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 shrink. And you can do that with makeup, which is super cool. Okay, All right, so there's our concealer. Keep this brush close by. You can kind of blot it off a little bit, but keep it close by. Now I go in with under eye powder. Today, I'm gonna use the Patrick Star One Size Translucent Powder. When I'm tan, which I am tan, but I'm not like as tan as I can be, I like to use this Too Faced Peach Powder. But today, Universal Translucent Powder. And this formula I really like because no flashback. So when you're taking photos and stuff, you are covered and you're good to go and you don't have anything to worry about. For the under eye powder, I like taking, this is a Sigma. Oh my God, this is Sigma. Do you guys remember Sigma? It's just a tapered under eye brush. Makeup by Mario also has a really good under eye brush. But you just pick up the powder, put it into the lid and like emulsify it into the fibers and the bristles of the brush. And then if you have any creases, you're gonna go in with your stippling brush and stipple those out. I don't have any. So you just go in and you set it by patting, patting, patting. We just did all that work to lay this foundation so seamlessly on there. Do not go in and rub, because all you're gonna do is rub your concealer away and leave brush strokes while you do it. So always patting, pat, pat, pat. And if you're someone that likes to bake, I'm going to show you how to bake in just a second, but you need to set your under eyes first. The reason being, if we go in and bake right away, what we're doing is just inviting the powder to clump onto anywhere that's dry on our skin or anywhere that has more product than somewhere else under the eye. It will just completely attach to it and look so cakey and so thick. So we need a thin layer of powder first to just set it and get it smooth, and then we're gonna go into bake and highlight. I'll show you that in a minute. But remember, anywhere that we put concealer, we are going to set that concealer. So for me, that's going to be on the eyelids. Again, if it's creasing, just go in and buff out those creases. So the eyelids, a big area for me is the smile lines. I really go in here and set those onto the chin. Upper lip is a big one, especially when you sweat. Your upper lip is a big place that a lot of us girls sweat. Just set that. I also put concealer here. So I'm gonna put it in between the eyebrows and down the nose. Now, if you are someone that is oily, I would go in and set all over. I have pretty normal to dry skin. I would honestly say, if anything, it's more normal than dry. So I don't feel the need to set everywhere. That's because I go in with other products that are powder, like bronzer and blush, that will set this area and this area. The only area that's not going to get set with powder that's technically like tacky still is right underneath my cheeks. So you can just go in lightly and set this if you want. I don't always do it, but for like a sweat proof kind of makeup, it's a good idea too. Keep the brush and the powder handy. We're going to need it in a minute when we go in to bake, but let's begin to bronze the face. So I like to use a matte bronzer that's a neutral tone first. I want you to think of this as like a transition shade for the face. So this is the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer, and this is a Morphe M530 brush. I used this also for blush. I have a few of these brushes. This is my blush one, this is my bronzer one. I love this a lot. So I dip in, and you guys, I love bronzer. So I go to town with my bronzer. So I always start up here on the forehead, and I'm really blending into the hairline. I'm like not afraid to get my hair nice and bronzery, but I like to go onto the forehead and kind of diffuse inward, and then I sweep it down onto the cheek and just keep it pretty high up on the cheek. And it helps if you smile because you can kind of see like a natural shadow form. I just keep it above that natural shadow line. Honestly, you are going to know your face better than anyone. So like I could tell you all these places to put bronzer, blush, highlight onto your face, but you are going to know your face better than anyone. So play around with placement, see where you like it, see where you don't, and don't be afraid to change what I'm saying to do onto your face if you know that you like how it looks a certain way better, or if you've never tried something that I'm suggesting, try it out. You might love it. Maybe you hate it and you never do it again. You won't know until you try. But I like to go into layers. I know it looks like I'm putting on a ton. Maybe I am. But I just like to go in and just sort of build in layers. I also love the look of a lot of makeup on the nose. I guess I should say color and dimension on the nose. So I don't necessarily like contour my nose, but I do go in and add that bronzer to the sides of my nose. I feel like it just makes this smaller and accentuates my eyes and makes them bigger, which I like. Then I go in underneath the chin and kind of create this shadow here. I don't focus it so much on underneath the jawline because I find that I already do have a pretty prominent jaw, just a rather weak chin, so I like to put mine here. But a tip is, if you put bronzer down the center of your neck, it's going to, one, elongate your neck. It's going to give you the illusion of a smaller neck, which is crazy. I learned that from Makeup by Mario, and I trust him, whatever he says. Then I'm gonna go in with a bronzer that has some shimmer in it. This one is by Armani Beauty in Luminous Silk Bronzing Powder. I also really like the MAC Give Me Sun, and I just take the same brush. You just need a little bit of this. This stuff is so pigmented. And with a super light hand, I just go in, and this just adds a little bit of shimmer and color, which I find is fun. It just gives you that like healthy glow. But I don't use this bronzer on its own because it would be a little too dark and a little too orangey. It's very warm. So this is kind of just like a topper of a bronzer. That's why I use the Too Faced one underneath. It's like a very transitional shade of bronzer. Now we're gonna go in and take a dry beauty sponge, and you're gonna take your powder, get all the powder onto your sponge, and then take your hand and blot it in your hand. And now you can go in and you can bake. So I like to bake on the sides of my nose, and this will kind of shrink down the appearance of your nose. That's why it doesn't really matter like where you put the bronzer on your nose, because this is gonna kind of shrink it down. So just on the sides of your nose like that. And then you could also go underneath here and carve this out like what we did with the concealer. I kind of liked when we did this little zhuzh up moment. How much you want to bake is up to you. I don't always bake, but I do find that it helps lock in makeup. So if you have a problem area, like let's say you have a lot of separating that goes on your forehead, if you bake on your forehead, that will help with separating of your powder. Okay, now we're gonna move on to blush. I'm not the biggest blush girl in the world. I know blush is really trendy right now, and if you are a big blush girl, do more than I'm about to share. But I like a subtle blush. I don't want when people look at me to be like, wow, she has a lot of blush on. I just want it to be like, wow, she's like smiling from within. So I really like this blush. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Cheek to Chic blush in the shade Pillow Talk. And I take this on a Sonia Kashuk blush brush. If you guys have been with me for over a decade, this was like literally a brush that I got when I was like 12 years old, and I love it so much. So you get this product all on your brush, tap away the excess, smile, and I like to focus my blush back on the temples and then just sweep a little bit onto the apples. I also find that when I bake a little bit underneath my bronzer and blush, it kind of keeps my blush in line, and it just helps marry the bronzer and my blush, which is the goal. And I always like the look of it on the temples. And then once I get it how I like it to look, I stop because I don't like too much blush. And then I'm also just gonna put it on my nose because I like that. How long you let the bake sit is up to you. I don't like it to be too bright. I really like a nice bronzy look, so I go back in with this brush that we use, and I just very gently sweep the bake away, also pressing it into the skin, and this kind of diffuses your blush and your powder together and leaves your under eye nice and bright, which is one of my favorite looks, especially in photos. I think it looks really nice. And then same with underneath the cheeks. Just kind of wiping that away. Okay, and now is the point where you can kind of fine tune the base. So I'll just kind of go back in with my bronzer brush and then my blush brush and just kind of play with it until I like how it's sitting on the face, which I feel like it's sitting pretty good right now. So I'm gonna stop while I'm ahead and move on. Okay, moving on to eyebrows. So I'm gonna go in with the Anastasia Brow Wiz, and I love this one. This is in the shade Taupe. No, Soft Brown. Duh. Don't mind my little mirror. But I go in, and the way that I do my eyebrows, I kind of cheat a little bit because my eyebrows are microbladed, but I haven't gotten them touched up in over 4 years. So I feel like, I mean, they're definitely still there, but they are kind of wearing away a little bit. But I start by underlining my eyebrow, which the concealer kind of already did for us, but I just fine tune it. And then I just look in the mirror and I just fill in the gap. And I'm doing this with a really light hand. You're also noticing that I'm holding it towards the bottom of the pencil. I'm not like way up here. This would make the product too concentrated. I'm just holding at the bottom and doing it nice and light and wispy in these strokes. And I'm trying to look in the big mirror as much as possible, as opposed close to this small mirror because up here, it looks like I have a lot of stuff to fill in, but when I'm looking at it from a glance, I don't have a ton of stuff to fill in. And I like the look of softer brows, but I also like the look of a 2016 brow. So I found like a good combination that works for me of like a solid shape with a delicate fill-in. And I feel like I've kind of nailed it. And then you just flip over and you just sort of diffuse it and soften it, but keep it where it needs to be. And that's it. If you like to set your brows, I like using the NYX Brow Glue or the Anastasia Brow Freeze Gel. But honestly, half the time I don't even set my eyebrows because they just don't move and the product doesn't move out of them either. So yeah, kind of contradictory, but it's the truth. Eyebrows can go really wrong really quick. Proceed with caution and use a light hand. Once I have them where I like them, I stop. That's like the secret to makeup. Stop while you're ahead. You can fix and you can tweak things until your makeup looks bad. Like honestly, that's what happens. Like it looks so good until you over fix it. Then it looks bad. This is the only eye product you need. I love this stuff so much. This is the Armani Beauty in 22M Cashew. This is a liquid eyeshadow. If you are a pro with makeup, you need this. If you are a beginner with makeup and you have no idea how to use eyeshadow, you need this. I'm not kidding. Everyone needs this. It's all you need for this look. It is absolutely perfect. It is beyond flattering on everyone. I did my friend's makeup when we were at a wedding in Italy and she is tanner than I am and it looked stunning on her skin. Just absolutely stunning. So this is good for the pale girls, for the tan girls. It's so good. And it lasts all night and you like barely have to do anything. It's seriously the best. So you take this and you put it on your eyelids and watch how easy this is. You don't even need to like do it well. Take your finger and just place it where you like it. So just make sure it covers your lid and kind of just buff it up into your crease. Don't worry about it. Like really don't worry if it looks messy because you're gonna go in with a blending brush. This is a Morphe M532 and there's no product on this. And you're just gonna hold your brush towards the middle so you have control. And you're just gonna blend it out. I'm just using nice light pressure. I'm not forcing it, but just keep working at it. Be a little patient and then it'll blend out. I'm actually gonna put just a little bit more up here. I just want it to go a little bit higher. And that's the thing, this is so buildable. You can really make it however dark you want, however light you want, and anywhere. Then it just like diffuses out on its own. And then I always like to put product underneath the eyes as well. Blend it out with the finger. And it looks like you have this incredible smoky eye that took a lot of effort, but it didn't at all. It's the easiest way to do your makeup and I swear by it. I love this stuff so much. I also find that this product itself plays really well with other makeup. Like you saw that we put concealer and powder on the eye and it still blends out really well with that. This also works as an amazing base to powder eyeshadows. I also find that this sets down to a powder finish almost. So you don't need to worry about this creasing or setting or settling into the fine lines that we have on our eyes. It's just like a magic product. I love it so much. Here, you can kind of see the difference of like putting it underneath the eye versus not. This definitely keeps it light and bright and I feel like this makes it a little smoky and intense and I like that look, but that's personal preference. Then I go in with the Benefit Cookie highlighter, which is that little mirror that I've been using. And I take a synthetic brush. This is a MAC 242. I like synthetic brushes with glittery, luminescent kind of pigments because it picks up the product better and it disperses it better onto the eye. So I'm picking this up, tapping off the excess, and I put this on the inner corner of the eye and then underneath the eyebrow from the middle of the eyebrow out to the tail. And I find that that just like really opens up the eye. And you just kind of use your finger and like blend the two together. So for me, I found that black is really, really harsh on my eye and I prefer brown eyeliners and brown mascaras. So for me, I'm gonna go in with the Bobbi Brown gel eyeliner. This is in the shade Chocolate Shimmer Ink, and I'm taking a Sephora 11 eyeliner brush. And gel eyeliners are so great because I find that they are waterproof and they're also really easy to work with and maneuver on the eye. So I'm gonna go in and just line my lash line just to give the illusion of thicker eyelashes. eyelashes. I feel like I've really kind of stepped away from a lot of eyeliner as I've grown up. I just feel like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it has a time and a place, and I love eyeliner and I love playing around with eyeliner, but especially at weddings, like I cry at every single wedding I go to. So I like to just keep eyeliner light, but make my eyelashes look a little thicker. So I put them right here. And then underneath your eyelashes is a little section of eyelid called your tight line. I'll just tight line this eye, and then you can kind of decide what you like more. So that's like the underneath of your eye. And I find that only a gel eyeliner sticks on my waterline and my tight line. So this has the eyeliner on top of my lashes, and this has it underneath of my lashes. This is more of that like barely there look, but they kind of give the same effect. It's really just what you'd prefer. I am going to do both. If you want your eyes to look a little bit more like sultry, sexy kind of vibes, you could definitely put that brown in your waterline as well. That really just depends on your eyes. If your eyes water a lot, I would leave that there. You can just put mascara on your lower lashes and kind of get that same effect. But if your eyes work well with putting eyeliner in that waterline right here, go for it. And if you like that look, you can definitely do that as well. Now I'm going to go in and use mascara. So I use two types of mascaras. First one that I use is YSL Lash Clash. This is in the shade brown. And the other mascara that I use is the Too Faced Better Than Sex in Chocolate, which is their brown shade. Before I do that, I'm curling the eyelashes. If you are not curling your eyelashes before mascara, you absolutely need to. And I just like using two mascaras for the drama of it all. Like, I just like the look that it gives my eye. I like the darkness that it gives my eye, but I just find that brown is very complementary to blue eyes, while black on me is just a little harsh. Okay, so there's one layer. The YSL Lash Clash, like such an amazing mascara. Really good at lengthening and volumizing. And I don't want to fool you, I'm not one of those girls that goes in and just does like a little bit of mascara. Like mascara takes me forever. It takes me at least 5 minutes because I layer a lot of mascara and I like the look of a lot of mascara. And I find that when I blink while doing mascara, it like really helps just like get to the root. And I'm gonna put some mascara on the bottom lashes as well. This kind of gives like that sultry look that I like on the eye, but it still keeps them bright because the waterline is pretty natural, no product. And then I just take the end of my pinky finger and I blot the ends of the eyelashes, and you can see that it picks up excess makeup that otherwise would have landed on my under eye, which we don't want. I used to like not be a big lip girl. I was just like, oh, let's do chapstick. Once you find a lip combination that works, your life changes for the better. So my favorite lip liner is the Charlotte Tilbury lip liner in the shade Fair. But for some reason, like my sharpener is really acting up right now, so I'm improvising. This is Velvet Teddy by MAC. I really like this lip liner as well. It's probably my second fave. And I line my lips. The way that I line my lips is I like to flatten out, oh, let me kind of remove a little bit of my chapstick. I like to flatten out my Cupid's bow and just slightly overline, nothing crazy, just a little bit. Just like the tiniest little fake out you could imagine. Normally Cupid's bow goes like this. I like to make it flat. See that difference? Just that little difference. And I just follow my lips. Then I go in with MAC Blankety lipstick. This is like my go-to combo always. MAC Blankety lipstick. It's like the perfect nude. And I put it in the center of my lip and just kind of blot it out. Kind of blend the lip liner and the lipstick together. And then finally, Patrick Ta lip gloss in Superficial is so good. It's like a beige color. Well, I guess that's perfect timing because my light literally just died, but we are done. So this is the final wedding makeup look. I guess it's kind of nice that the light died because you can kind of just see it like how it looks in natural light. I feel like it's a really gorgeous makeup look. It just looks like you. It's sweat proof, waterproof, humidity proof, dancing proof. Like it lasts all night. It looks really nice in photos. It photographs beautifully and you can always tweak it. You can amp it up, you can take it down. I just really like this makeup look a lot and I hope you guys all enjoyed this. Any products that I used will be linked down below for you guys to check out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and I'll talk to you guys all in my next video. Bye guys.